In terms of the authorization itself is concerned, usually it is being connecting with 5 different people. As I told you, like card holders will be there, merchant will be there, acquirer will be there, card networks will be there, and as well as the issuing bank will also be there. So when it comes to the card holders and all that, who will be paying the kind of purchases what they are making and all everything to the merchant, whereas merchant is sending whatever the card details given by the customer and all everything to the acquirers, whereas acquirers and all everything are forwarding these details and all everything to the network, because that is what is more important here. Because when it refers to the acquirers itself is concerned, acquirers plays a vital and important role between the merchant and as well as network, because these are two different important things. Because in reference to the merchant is the person who is giving services to the customer. But whereas network, so there must be a proper connectivity between merchant and as well as network, where acquirer is the person who will be looking after all this information. So this acquirer should make sure that whatever the information in reference to the credit card details or whatever the card details and all everything given by the card holders and all everything will be given to the credit card network, either it may be Visa or Mastercards and all that. So that network request and all everything must be authorized from the issuing bank, means whatever the issuing banks we have and all that, right? For example, if the person is having IndusInd Bank account and all that, make sure this card is being issued by the IndusInd Bank itself for the future transactions of the customer. If the issuing bank is authorizing this process and all that, the card transactions and all everything will become successful, right? So this is the process for the transactions in reference to the acceptance as well as payments of the work is concerned. But whereas there are other aspects which also be taken into consideration, where when there is a possibility that there is a possibility for two different things. One is if, second is else condition. In if condition, if transaction was completed, transaction successfully happened and all that. But there will be an other way around processes will also be there. Those will be of different refunds and all that. So there will be some offers, there will be some refunds of the customers, right? At the same time, whatever the kind of withdrawals are we using it, right? So some sort of refunds and all everything should also be made here. So all these refunds and all everything will also be comes under this payment gateway process, because the same information or the same amount of work, the same amount of goods will be taken by the customer second time due to the spoiled goods or something of that sort. The same price catalog and all everything will be incorporated in the payment gateway, so that hence there will be of no doubling payment and all that, right? Because everything is being connecting to the catalogs and all that. So there you don't see any kind of doublings and all everything itself is concerned. So this is how generally the payment networks and all everything is being used in regular day-to-day transactions and all everything, in reference to the regular payments and all, right? So in reference to the regular payments, what are we talking about? So whatever the process and all I'm talking about, everything in reference to the credit card processes and all that. So when there is an online card processing, for example, if there is an online card processing are we doing, for example, this is the transaction or this is the process which I have explained about the payment gateway in reference to the payments what we have paid. But there are some steps we have to consider more, or we have to consider when it comes to the online card processing are concerned, because online card processing have a slight variation where we have to make sure which is something similar and connecting to this. But all the online card processings and all everything happens through online. So whenever there is a process, it means, for example, if a customer is going directly to the merchant's place, and when he is giving the card, where this card is being swiped off, the process and all everything will be of different. But there will be some conditions in real environment where we could see that different payments and all everything will be paid by the people through online ordering processing, means through website and all everything, these payments and all everything will be made. So whenever we are doing these payments in reference to the payments and all everything, so whenever we are doing these payments and all everything online, we are paying. Usually what happens, usually customer enters all the information and all everything on the website by just giving the credit card number, like when is the expiration date, right? What is the CVV code and all that. So whenever these details and all everything has been given, the payment gateway process and all receives all the whatever the card data and all everything will be received, and whatever the transfers which is acquiring to the bank and all everything will be taken care of by the payment gateway process. So through this payment gateway process, whatever the acquiring bank, whatever the kind of receivables in terms of the payment request and all everything will be forwarded to the same networks, because whatever the transactions we have understood so far in reference to the payment gateways and all everything in terms of the payments, the same thing followed even when we are working on the online banking itself is concerned. But the major difference where we could see here is that mentioning about the card details and all everything online, right? So unless until if you are not providing card details and all everything online, so those transactions will not become void. Whereas in the direct bank account, in the direct purchases in reference to the merchants itself is concerned, we don't require to add any kind of details into that, because whatever the card we have given, whenever the card has been swiped, automatically whatever the require, whatever who has issued the card, right? So what is the details and all, what are all the details, whether is this card is valid or not. Sometimes cards, it happens sometimes, right? It's not by intention, uh, maybe by through missing or something, like sometimes the card will get expired, right? So because sometimes customers don't see, right? Because usually this expiration date they'll give for a long, sometimes customer, there is a possibility, right? So I'm not saying all the time, but there is a possibility that sometimes customer will forget about the expiration date. Sometimes the expiration, after expiry date, this card is being used. So that time this card networks and all everything will block it, will decline it. You don't say it is not block it. Will card and all everything, this transactions and all everything will get declined by the uh, card swiper and all that. So using this card transactions and all, when the transaction is valid, usually this whatever the amount of money which is available on the card and all everything will be deducted with immediate effect, and it will be transferred directly to the merchant bank account and all everything there. So but make sure, especially in reference to the debit cards and all everything, this kind of process and all everything will be followed, because in debit card there is a calculation we follow, amount of transaction equal to the availability of cash which is on bank account. If it is lesser than that, transactions will become successful. If it is lower than that, automatically the transactions will become declined, and they have to opt for other payment options. This is how generally the payment network in large scale which is being used in payments domain.